Craig Jones saved CJI 2025 by making this announcement ahead of day 2.
If you get a submission and you're in the fucking team's event, you get 50,000 US dollars. Clearly, submitting someone for your team did not fucking work yesterday.
Craig was giving out bonuses and buggy chokes left and right, but more on those buggy chokes in a minute. But the bonuses worked. New Wave won the first duel of the night against Atos, and there were submissions aplenty. Thanks, Craig. New Wave is on to the finals, and they're going to face either B Team or Australasia. But first, more skits and more bits. Craig already demonstrated his willingness to listen to the fans and their complaints by implementing the bonuses. Maybe for next year, you can listen to the fans and do away with trying to be funny and just show the matches. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe a lot of people like these things. Let me know in the comments if you like all of the attempts at humor. Australasia versus B Team had a lot of fun moments, including Ethan fighting for his life for 8 minutes, but he survived. And just when it seemed like Victor Hugo wrapped up the win for B Team with the submission, here comes Bilal. I thought there was zero chance he would compete today after that nasty leg injury yesterday, but here he comes. This is a gangster move. Dude got his leg mangled and he's still out there fighting for his team. Meanwhile, Gable had turf toe and had to pull out. Lal actually needed a submission over Victor Hugo to keep Australasia alive, but unfortunately for him and his team, it went the other way, and Victor Hugo got his second submission in a row, which netted him $100,000 in submission bonuses. B Team is on to the finals against their rivals New Wave. You love to see it, but first, before that, we have the final to the women's division between Sarah Galval and Helena Craver. Lots of passing attempts from Galvo in round 1, with Helena trying to attack from the bottom. More of the same in round 2, but in round 3, Helena got deep on a footlock and is your $100,000 tournament winner. What felt like a very long time later, because this thing was paced like a snail, it was Craig Jones versus Chael Sonnen, which was announced as an exhibition match after Gable Stevenson pulled out. Chael came out and did a WWE promo, and then Craig came out escorted by Riff Raff, who sang for a really long time considering it was 12:30 at night, and no one was exactly clamoring for this match, so let's get to it. But the match was very interesting. Immediate takedown from Chael, immediate buggy choke from Craig. Chael is put to sleep in exactly 30 seconds. They decide to go again, which is fun because that's not how it was scheduled, but after it's only been, 30 seconds, why not have another go? Another immediate takedown from Chael, Craig clowning around a little bit, a Chael heel hook attempt, which I never thought I'd see in my life. Craig goes buggy choke again, and Chael's out again. I didn't hate it. It was fun. Team finals time. Victor Hugo looked really close to another 50k sub bonus, but Wagner hung on to eliminate himself and Hugo with a draw, the first of 5 draws in this team final. Eliminating Victor Hugo at this point in this format is a huge thing, and Wagner just kind of hanging on to survive is sort of a win in itself. Dorian Olivares was all over Ethan Krenlenstein, constantly smothering Ethan's mouth and moving really well, but they also fought to a draw. It gets a little convoluted here. So there were no submissions in the team final. So in that case, when there's no subs, it should go to the scoring, but the scorecards had it 47-47 as a draw. So in the case of a draw like that, it's supposed to go to the scoring of the last match, which was Nicky Rod versus Luke Griffith, which was scored for Nicky Rod, which means that B Team is the winner of the $1 million team tournament. I saw people calling it rigged because it was Craig's team that benefited from a very messy, unclear rule, but the rules were posted to the website well before the event started. I showed them to you in the video I posted yesterday. You can argue about the scoring of individual matches and that the scorecard should not have been 47-47. It should have been a win for New Wave, but there are 10-8 rounds that affect the scoring and can result in that 47-47. If it wasn't Craig's team benefiting from a weird rule that even the athletes themselves didn't seem to fully understand, I don't think there would be as much controversy, but let me know in the comments how you scored the final. But I think the ending was sort of symbolic of the whole weekend. It was overly complicated and convoluted and in a way that it didn't have to be, and it was the event's fault that it was like that. You had to move away from the normal tournament you did last year and wanted to do a team event with all these weird layered rules and all this sort of hard to understand pacing and decisions, and then you end up with a final that is decided by a very weird rule that no one really understood until it had to be explained right before you announce the winner of the tournament. So this kind of leads nicely into my takeaways from CJI 2025. I'm very glad that day 2 was much better than day 1, and I'm also very glad that we got 2 days worth of free jiu-jitsu from the best athletes in the planet on YouTube, so it feels weird to complain about that. Maybe for next year we move away from the team tournament and go back to a regular straight up jiu-jitsu tournament like we're all used to seeing, and that way you can get rid of some of this weird rules and pacing. Also, in terms of pacing, maybe let's do less like trying to be funny bits and skits. But again, let me know in the comments if you actually like those. I also would love it if we could start like 3 hours earlier so I don't have to make the videos at like 3 in the morning. But that's just, Craig, do me a personal favor on that. So I guess to sum up, maybe just like less production, more matches in a shorter period of time, and less time in between the matches so the event doesn't have to be like 7 or 8 hours long. But again, I don't want to complain about free jiu-jitsu from the best guys in the planet, but it's really late, so that's why I'm a little cranky. I do think that the Craig Jones Invitational is great for the sport of jiu-jitsu. Look how much money people were paid this weekend for competing in jiu-jitsu. And we also saw this weekend that they're willing to listen to the fans in a way that other promoters are not. There was problems with day 1 that people didn't like, and they tried to fix that for day 2, and I think they were mostly successful in that. But let me know what you thought of the whole event in the comments. Was CJI 2 everything you hoped it would be? What do you want to see next year for CJI 3? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.